He's on vacation, so I think both he and Carlene will not be here.
No, but I mean, he wasn't here last, I just wanted
That's why I got into planning.
He's not done, I don't think, no. All right, we got 5 o'clock. Dan, you good? Okay. All right, we'll start. I'm gonna call the, Monday, March 21st, 2022 Village Board meeting to order. Candy, please.
Velo,
Here.
Molly,
Here?
Glish,
Here?
Peterson,
Here.
Wunsch,
Here.
Okay,
and Fashion and Stitcher absent.
yes. All right, let's go to number 3. We'll go to approval of the March 7th, 2022 Village Board meeting minutes was in our packet. I'll take a motion in a second. I have Amanda and I saw Derek. Any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Public appearances. Public comment. This part of the agenda allows members of the public to provide information to the village board, including items both on and off the agenda. And I think tonight we're going to ask the folks from OCA Media to come up. All three. I put 3 chairs up there for you. And we can have Dan wave too to it. So I'm going to turn it over to Amanda, who's the village board rep.
Okay.
It's all yours.
So I got a really happy email in my inbox the other day from Paul, and I'm happy to announce that the staff at OCA Media was recently honored with several top awards for their entries in the 2022 Best of the Midwest Media Fest. It's a multi-state contest held every year by the Wisconsin Community Media Association. They have PEG stations from people from all, like 6 different states competing, and we got a bunch of excellent, which is gold. It's the highest award in that category. I'm gonna let, I guess I'll just run it down. Frank Caruso won an excellent gold award for his entry in the short form documentary feature category. Let's see, and Paul won a bronze medal in his category for, what was that? Oh, for a commercial that he made. And, well, should I let you guys go down and talk about this, or you want me? Am I doing okay? All right. Frank won 2 silver awards in the PSA category for his work with the Oregon Police Department. You may have seen the traffic stop educational video that they filmed. And where's the next one? Safe roadway use with Officer Ted Gilbertson got a silver also. And then Josiah won a gold award for his 2 Tickets Please, his original movie review show. So I just want to make people aware of the great work that OCA Media is doing. And anything you guys want to say?
Quickly, before you missed one, which was the
sorry.
another gold was given to us for a live production we did for the this year. It was a football homecoming game. It was a live production that Josiah was the director of. I was the producer, and I think we had 1 student on there and a couple of regular other staffers running camera. But Tom Kirchdorfer might have a few things to say too.
So of those of you who don't know, I'm the president of OCA. I don't produce anything. I just go to board meetings and hang out with these guys. I just want to say how lucky you are as a community. One of the interesting things when you read the awards and so forth, those were just the ones that we submitted. There was a long list. We couldn't turn in everything that was award worthy that these guys have done this year and the last 2 years. Really, it sort of all started with the whole COVID pandemic. We suddenly had to find ways to produce and develop new content and find delivery new information we have. These days you can see not just a village board meeting, but you have the library board, you have the planning commission, you have missing park board. There's plenty of content that we're producing, and it takes a lot of time. These short form videos that Frank does, and these are work intensive kinds of exercises. You talk about, we record like a single camera football game, we have one announcer and a cameraman, and you get 2 hours of content. Well, Frank does a 15-minute video. It takes him 2 and 3 hours to get interviews, to edit, to put it all together, and actually it's probably a lot more than that, but he also manages all the social media and so forth. So there's just a tremendous amount that Paul and Frank and Josiah and all of the staff of OCA are doing constantly. And I think I go back to an Oregon Minute I had with Martin way back last fall, and he commented how Oregon is such an involved and active community, and I think a lot of it is because we have this resource available. I looked at the last board meeting. It wasn't a controversial board meeting. You had 160 views of people dialing in and looking at what the village board is doing, and so we have a very active community, and we are supporting that. One of the new features that we should be pointing out to people, we have it with the YouTube access. You also have closed captioning now, that they can actually get a closed caption version of all the village board meetings, in fact, in the live broadcast. So I just want to add my congratulations to Frank and to Paul and to Josiah for the awards that they won, and just thank all of the staff of OCA for everything they're doing for the village of Oregon.
Yeah. And Tom, let me just say, I think that everybody up here and everybody in the room, anybody watching, knows how lucky that the village of Oregon is to have for what you guys do for us. So we're very lucky, and we know how lucky we are. So,
Thank you.
all right. Anybody else want to? All right. Yeah, Amanda, you have last words?
Yeah, I was just going to say the Oregon Observer is going to have a story coming up about it with links in it so that people can watch the videos that won the awards if they want to.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, we go to 5, which is 5 is proclamation and announcements. 5A is upcoming meetings and events that we had in our packet for us to put in our calendars. We can go to 6, report of village officers. 6A is Martin's village report. Anybody's got any questions or comments for Martin? Seeing none, okay. 6B is the 2021 Oregon Area Senior Center Annual Report. Nice report. Rachel, I don't know if you want to say anything to us. It was I like that it's one page, colorful, really easy to read. And again, all of us up here, we know the great things that the Senior Center does too for the village. But do you want to add anything?
Yeah, we're pleased to share the annual review with you guys. We're pleased to share the annual review with you and to thank the village board as well as all of our other funding partners for the support that you've shown the senior center over the last year and the support that you've shown your residents over many years. So we boiled 2021 down to a couple of pages, and when you boil a year down to a couple of pages, everything on the page is a highlight. And so everything is worthy of mention, but I'm not going to read it to you because you're capable of reading it to yourself. So I'm just going to touch on the highlights of the highlights. You can see that we served 13,000 and some meals this year, along with our partners. All of those meals were on a donation basis. That's pretty incredible. Our adult day program, which is a state licensed adult day care, had a great year, the highest utilization rate we've ever had, the most income we've ever had. One of the staff took the really challenging tests to become a certified dementia specialist. And we had to jump through a lot of hoops to stay eligible for federal funding for public funding because there were changes in the federal laws. So interesting things, but really, I think other than COVID, the biggest story of the year was volunteers. The volunteers provided us with the equivalent of more than three full-time staff members. And when I thought about that, our staff, we have 8 staff. 3 of them are full-time. 5 of them are part-time. So we got another 3 full-time staff people from our volunteers. And when I added up the hours of time that everybody puts in at the senior center, whether it's the staff or the volunteers, it came out to 36% of the investment of time in the senior center comes from volunteers, which is pretty amazing. And it tells me that they're pretty committed to what we do and the role we play in the community. But it also tells me that they're having meaningful experiences, they're coming in and they're getting something back for investing that time. So I would thank all of the staff for helping make those hours purposeful. And then if we go on to the second page of the Senior Center report, we titled this one, 2021, Navigating Another Pandemic Adventure with No GPS. Because basically it was another trip around the sun without really knowing where we were going or how we were going to get there. And this page highlights some of the milestones of the pandemic, but also the ways in which the Senior Center was trying to adjust its services to meet those ever-changing conditions. So you can see lots of things in here from, you know, the fact that we had mask mandates all but a couple months of the year, the fact that we had outdoor programming through the summer, meals came back in July, our case managers spent tons of time helping people get appointments for vaccines and finding rides for vaccines, and it was just really a pretty wild ride. We're hoping that 2022 will settle down some, but we know there's no guarantee of that. So I would be happy to take questions about what our 2021 was all about or anything else involving the Senior Center, if anybody has any for me.
All right, anybody? Okay. Well, Rachel, we're proud of you and the staff.
Oh, thank you. I will
And
pass
the
it on.
volunteers, you're right. You can't do it without volunteers.
Absolutely could not.
Yep.
Not without our partners like you and our volunteers.
Yep.
So
Okay.
thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, we'll go to C is Library Director's Report on the new library project update. That was in our packet. I see Jennifer, I think, is not here tonight, but that was in our packet. Let's go to D, Village Department Head Staff Consultant Comments. And Jeff, I'm going to put you on the spot because I think the rest of the village board should know about the get out the lead.
Get the lead out?
Get the lead out, sorry.
Get the lead out work
Yeah,
done?
yeah.
Yeah, so the village this last week was notified that we did receive a
$25,000
grant from the DNR. It's actually federal funds, but it's through DNR. And for the removal of the private lead service laterals in the village. That combined with the ARPA funds that we received last year will help replace the public side. And so we have engineers working on that. We've talked kind of with this project with you guys in the past, but we're excited. I mean, just to be able to have that funding is so critical in taking all of the financial burden off of the individual resident. And that is huge because many of the lead laterals are in much older sections of the village, and not all, but I mean some of them are on very limited incomes in some of these areas. So just the fact that we can get these removed from our system, be able to use these grant funds, and be able to take care of this all this year. It's just we're really excited about it. It's moving ahead. Lauren's working really hard on it. Our engineers are working really hard on it, and I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to do the PSC report next year, and we can just write 0 on our lead laterals, which they love to see as well.
So Jeff, I'll just add, our little group that we had, you and me and Susan Poole and Don Gray.
Yep.
And
Martin
as well. So,
Yep,
you know, it's a big deal for the health of our residents and to get this. This is a one-time thing. We'll never
Right.
be able to get this again.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
So, all right. Anybody, any comments? Yeah, Mike.
Did I hear that there were less lead laterals than we thought?
That's what we're finding. So my staff has been working the last couple of weeks with the nicer weather you'll probably see a lot of additional painting on some of these older streets in identifying the locations where these laterals connect to the main. And we're shooting those in with GPS to be able to then help our engineers out with the drawing preps. We will start potholing very soon. We're kind of still evaluating how much more frost we have in the ground. It's moving out of there, but slowly. But as soon as we can have frost out of the ground, we're going to be actually out hydro excavating and potholing a lot of areas to really see what we're finding. What we found is that there may be less private lead services than we ever imagined. I think there's as many public side because we would have record of replacing those. The problem is sometimes people replace their laterals, say 15, 20 years ago, and there might have been a record of that at the time, I'm not sure. But you know, those just things that we're finding now that we think we'll find lead, and we're finding copper, newer copper in some of these older homes.
So, Jeff, there's also another letter going out to potential property owners.
Yeah, so just to catch you up to speed a little bit, we sent out, I think, 220 letters to residents in the village or to individual homeowners and residents that basically helped them identify and had an opportunity to respond back to us in a self-addressed stamped envelope that was what their lateral line is, and helping them, kind of an exhibit to show them how to identify that. And then we received actually a very good response, but we still had about 80 or 90 that we hadn't received anything back from. And so we've sent a second letter to them saying, yes, this is pretty important, and if after that we still have some stragglers, we'll have to go and set appointments and actually just make appointments to go into those homes and see those laterals.
And Jeff, if there's any homeowner who doesn't know they want to be sure, we're more than willing to
Yep.
help them, assist
Call
them.
Village Hall and talk to Sue or myself or DeLorean, and we'd be happy to set up an appointment, have one of our water personnel stop in and just take a look at them.
Because somebody could have a piece of copper, but there could still be some lead, is that?
Correct.
Right.
Correct. The hardest thing with all of this is it's all underground.
Yeah.
The only thing you can see is literally where it comes out of the ground in the basement or crawl space. So, you know, as much as we will remove every known lead lateral, both on our system and on private systems this year. I fully expect us to have projects where we're digging along and find lead service laterals in the future. And we have provisions in our ordinances for that as well.
Okay. All right. Jeff, thanks. Anything else? Okay.
There's a question back there at the clerk.
Oh, there is? Oh, yeah.
I just have another comment, not lead related, so whatever you're ready to.
Okay, we're ready. Candy,
Alright,
go
so
ahead.
Most of you probably have seen or heard that the drop box in the parking lot is closed right now. And the reason for the closure is due to the Waukesha County Circuit Court's order, basically deeming absentee ballot drop boxes unlawful for this election. So the easiest way, I know that I'm not everyone's favorite person right now, but the easiest way was to shut the box down completely so ballots weren't mistakenly put in there. Because if they're put in there, then they can't be counted. So to protect everybody's vote, we decided to close it down. It's only temporary. It's going to be open. It's set, right away in the morning on April 6th. So I just want to get that out there. We did share it on Facebook. Yep.
Did you say April 6th? I'm just clarifying.
Yeah.
You mean after the election, it'll open up for payments again?
Yep. The
Okay,
election is April 5th. Yeah.
Okay.
So, the other thing I want to note, we did share it on Facebook. We're going to probably do a couple more shares on Facebook and e-notify, but it's also important to tell all your friends that you can only turn in your own absentee. You can't turn in your neighbors, you can't turn in your spouses. So that's another thing to keep in mind, and that's all noted on the sign as well. We have had a few grumbles, and I understand it's a huge inconvenience, but that's what we're going to deal with the next couple of weeks.
So Candy, if somebody does bring someone else's, that means that won't be counted, is that right? Yeah.
Essentially, that's what the.
And we don't want that to happen.
I do not want.
No. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Jerry?
Candy, do you have to be able to put it in, physically yourself? Do you have to, like, be here in person to do it?
You mean for us to collect them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
You have to deliver it to a person.
Yeah. So if you're not able to do that, is there a way someone that's challenged can do that?
Yeah, so let's take a step back. So that Dropbox has directions on there on how people can deliver their ballot. So if they do want to deliver it in person, they can bring it into the clerk's office on the second floor during our normal business hours. They can take it to the polling place on election day, or they can put it through the USPS. So those are our options this time. No Dropboxes.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Okay, that's good, really good information, Candy, thank you.
Thanks for letting me speak on
You
it.
bet, of course. All right, any other village department head? Yeah, Jeff?
I just want to mention, and I put a copy of a memo in all of your boxes, that I did close off the tennis courts this last week. It's pretty self-explanatory in the memo, but just, we did have a pole break, light pole break in December. And again, with the frost, as soon as we get the frost out of the ground, I'm working with companies to come in and hopefully at least put in new poles, or we'll just pull the old poles and figure it out later. But
Okay.
we're trying to get them, it's just a safety issue right now.
Okay, all right, thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Seeing none, okay. Excuse me. All right, so we'll go to 6E, which is Village Board comments. Anybody have anything they want to speak up about? Not seeing any, okay. We'll go to 7, communication miscellaneous business. Items are for discussion, possible action. 7A is approval of vouchers totaling $367,213.66. If we can have a motion and a second, we'll get it on the table and then we'll take some questions. All right, so Mike and Amanda, okay? So it's on the table. Any questions for anybody? All right, Mike, start us out.
Yeah, item 6350 with the chamber. Is that for the new book, business book, or?
Yeah, that's that must be the amount we contribute towards that for the community guide.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, is that it, Mike?
yeah.
Okay, anybody else? I have one, I think it's for Jeff, it's just a comment. 6930, which is basically our fuel. I'm just curious, Jeff, when we do that, bid that out or get that a year ahead of time, lock in, or?
Well, we're under contract with them. We do evaluate it periodically.
Okay.
We will be evaluating it this next year.
Yeah.
And we just, yeah, fuel prices are right now.
Yes, yeah. That's why I
know-
wondered if we locked in.
Yeah, I evaluated it about 2 years ago, and because I know, or 2 or 3 years ago, it was when Brian was here, and because they were concerned, they saw cheaper gas down at Quick Trip at that time.
Yeah.
But when we started looking at it, it didn't make sense to change at that time.
Okay,
But-
all right, thank
Yep.
you. Anybody else? Okay, Candy, let's take a voice vote.
Wunsch,
Yes,
Glish,
Yes.
Sally,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
and Dewa.
yes.
Okay, we'll go to 7B, which is Library Board meeting minutes from February 9th, 2022. That was in our packet for you to read. 7C is Village President nominations for our first ad hoc sustainability committee. And I'll just sort of read them. Mike Wunsch is being nominated for the Village Board representative. Hadley Stang is our student member. Rick Schmalley, I hope I'm not butchering too bad. Teresa Nelson, Andy Weiland, Brent Teskey, and Denise Laddish. Those are who we are recommending for the Sustainability Committee. We had a good response. We had over, I think we had 15 applicants. So it was, and Mike and Martin helped me with these. It was a difficult choice as to, who to appoint, because we had some tremendous candidates with lots of experience. So I don't know, Mike, if you want to say, or Martin want to say anything, or we're good. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everyone who applied, whether you got on the committee or not. There were a lot of good people that applied, and for those of you who didn't make the committee, if you're watching this, I will be reaching out to you, because we're going to have a lot of work, and I was hoping you would help the committee get some of the work done. So thank you very much.
All right, so if we can have a motion in a second, we'll get our first committee going. Mike? Motion, Amanda? Okay, any other discussion on this? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we got our first committee. We'll go to 7D, which is the lease agreement between the Village of Oregon and 14 South Artists Incorporated for the Village Welcome Center located at 134 Janesville Street. We had a presentation, can't remember how long, weeks ago. And this is for the lease agreement for them. So I'll take a motion in a second. Derek first. Amanda, any other discussion? Yeah, Mike?
Yeah, on item number 7, we're paying utilities. How much do utilities run for that?
I think on average it was like $150, was it? Yeah. It was less than $100 a month. Yeah.
Less than 100?
Okay. All right, so we got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. 7E is an acknowledgement and acceptance of dual planning consultant representation for Vanderwall and Associates on behalf of the Village of Oregon and Viridian Homes. I don't know, Martin or somebody, Elise?
As you all probably know, we've used Vanderwall for a long time as our planning consultants. After Mike Slavny retired, we had Ben Rohr on board, and then now Sonia Kriesel, who's the former City of Fitchburg planning director, has now moved over to be with Vanderwall, so she is our consultant. And this specific agreement is to acknowledge that Brian Munson, who also works for Vanderwall and has worked with us in the past, he represents Viridian as another client of Vanderwall, so they will be dividing and conquering. They're working all remotely, so there's very little chance of them rubbing elbows and everything, but it's just acknowledging that Brian's representing Vanderwall, Sonia is representing Village here.
Okay. All right. We get a motion and a second to approve this. All right, Amanda and Derek, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We'll go to F, which is related to this cost reimbursement agreement with Viridian Homes for residential development north of Mary Hill Addition subdivision. This is over by the cemetery. You saw in your packet, I think there's a map. So the recommendation is to approve. If we can get a motion in a second. Jerry and Derek. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye. Oh, sorry, Mike.
Yeah, the first page of this references the woods of Bergamot. You might want to change that.
Thanks.
Oh, good catch, Mike. All right, so we'll change that. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, very good. We'll go to G, which is another cost reimbursement agreement with Adam Coyle for proposed multifamily residential development located at 880 North Main Street. Take a motion in a second. Jerry and Derek again?
So just one quick
Oh, yeah,
comment.
yeah, sure, of course.
So there's one correction in this agreement that needs to be made. So in the packet, it says that the down payment is in the amount of $15,000. We would recommend $2,500 in place of that. That was just a placeholder from a previous agreement, so for example, we're only asking, I think, 10,000 for Viridian on their entire subdivision, so this is obviously a much smaller project. So 2,500.
All right, 2,500 change, not 15,000. Okay. All right, so I think we have a motion and a second, Candy, right? I think I do? Yes. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, okay. And then we'll go to H, which is easement agreement for the public multi-use path between Highlands of Netherwood LLC and the Village of Oregon located on Lot 34, replat of Highlands of Netherwood. No, Elise, is this, or, well, is it Jeff's? Who's got it?
We've all been working on it.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, this is lot 34 is the villas, and that's been previously approved. One of the things that came out in the condo plat was just the need to have this easement finalized and everything.
Okay.
And now, I mean, they're done with their design, and this is all this is just provides for that public path easement that continues north through the Highlands and Netherwood Park,
Okay,
or Highlands and Netherwood Development.
all right. I'll take a motion in a second. Mike and Amanda. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Let's see, we're on to I, Police Chief request to immediately suspend alternative side parking restrictions enforcement for the current season. Chief, looks like spring is coming. We don't-
Yes.
Yeah,
Just a little bit more backstory behind this. So as the ordinance is written now, I don't have the discretion to just stop. So we're starting to get those phone calls of people quite upset. So that's why this request is coming forward to you. I know there are some municipalities that do give the chief discretion to stop, but that's certainly in your hands if you want that. Whatever you guys want to do. Otherwise, I'm more than happy to bring a letter forward every year asking for permission to stop.
okay. Yeah, Jerry?
Question. It's not agended, but would it be proper for me to make a motion to that effect? If the
Martin,
chief can do this in the future?
Or does it need to be on the agenda?
I would say approve this and then,
Bring it back next time?
yeah, we could say.
That works.
Have
Yeah.
staff work on a
Yeah, I mean, it just
revision.
seems kind of silly. to
Yeah, it
just,
does.
You know, when the weather is good and the snow is gone. that
Yeah.
you're,
It also gives an opportunity, I know we've done previous times, like during Christmas break, we've sometimes suspended that, just because that's when college kids are home and more cars, I can speak to that, and everything, so that would give, I think, a lot more latitude.
It's a delicate balance because you don't want it to suddenly become a free-for-all, because then suddenly
Yep.
people don't follow the ordinance.
And
we
then you
have
get the big
issues.
rate, then you get the big
Yeah.
snowstorm, and
So there's a lot of communication that goes on between Jeff and I before we even come to you guys with this request. But a lot of, and the reason I brought it up is a lot of the community doesn't know that I don't have that discretion. They think we do, and so they call very upset and they yell at my staff, and they're fine with it. It's part of their job, but whether it's I make that decision or you guys, much of the public doesn't know that part.
Yeah, Derek?
Just ultimately, which would you prefer?
I think in all fairness to our community, I prefer to do it because I can do it quicker.
Okay, yep. Because Chief, I'm looking at it's still in effect until April 1st, is that correct? Yeah.
Yes.
So,
And we could certainly do some education with the community of, the purpose of this is for this reason. Is
Okay,
This
all right.
Wisconsin weather is just so unpredictable, and winter could end quickly or it could go longer.
yeah,
So,
all right. Yeah,
so
Amanda?
any ordinance that we write or how we'd fix it would just give the chief discretion to enforce
Suspend it.
or suspend it in, during that time period for special, whatever, like just, I mean, people would want a reason though, like if you say, well, you might do it over Christmas break, would you put that out so that the community knows about it then in some way?
Yeah, and the whole purpose the ordinance exists is so that we can clear that roadway on one side to get the plows through and clear the roadway. So there'd be a lot of communication and agreeance here before that would happen, because that's really what the goal is, to help Public Works out.
Okay.
I think you could do a motion to approve this plus direct staff to develop a
Bring it back,
ordinance revision.
bring it back next time.
And
Yeah,
there's-
that sounds
it's
good.
pretty common, so we can
Yeah.
probably pull
Okay.
an example.
All right, Jerry.
Second.
All right, Mike, snuck in there, okay. Any other discussion? So we'll approve this tonight, April 1st it'll go off, and then our next meeting we'll get to revise this to have the chief have discretion as to when it stops enforcing, so. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, moving along, we're on 7J, which is addendum to Dane County 2022 Purchase of Service Agreement for revision to Medicaid Case Management Reimbursement Rate. Rachel, I don't know if do you need to say anything, or is it we
This
we
is
got a
just-
memo, but you
Yeah,
might want to
this
say
is just
something?
It's just housekeeping.
Okay, just housekeeping, okay, and we had our memo to read it, so. I'll look for a motion in a second to approve this. Amanda, can we get a second? All right, Derek, any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. 8 is report of committees, none. 9, unfinished business. Items are for discussion, possible action. Review proposals for employment classification, compensation, and performance management services. Staff and actually Martin told me, I think there were 6. I think I counted right when I was looking through them. Staff recommendation is to award the services to Carlson Detman and direct staff to negotiate a final contract. Should we get a motion in a second? We can put it on. All right, Mike and then Amanda. It's on the table. Anybody have any discussion on this? Okay. Yeah, Amanda, do you want to? Yeah.
I looked over all these proposals in probably more detail than I needed to, but
Mhm.
I liked the staff recommendation. I
Yeah.
thought, I agreed with it after I read the proposals myself,
Yeah,
so.
I agree. Yep. Okay, any other comments? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, we're moving along. We're on to B, which is review, Director of Community Development job description, and designating Elise Cruz to the position. Martin, do you want to say anything, or?
Sure.
Yeah.
So this is part 2 of what we had talked about at the previous meeting. So at the last meeting, we adopted the Community Services Coordinator job description, and then talked about kind of realigning and modifying the Director of Planning and Zoning position to better reflect the activities and functions that it's actually doing, and then to also serve as the supervisor to the coordinator position. So for this meeting, we have the draft job description for what we call the Director of Community Development, which is what the Director of Planning and Zoning would become. And so this position really has 2 functions of what we kind of talked about last time, which is obviously the planning and zoning piece, but then the second piece of sort of intangible sort of things that it does, and I think best captured it in the job description is facilitating and enhancing the village's economic and social vibrancy through community engagement, economic development, building the capacity of the community's physical, human, natural, civic, and social capital, assets, and infrastructure, including such matters as housing, environmental sustainability, conservation, recreation, tourism, historic preservation, public art, culture, education, and intergovernmental cooperation. I know those are all things that Elise has done within the last month. And so I think that as we're trying to build our capacity with this new position that we're bringing on, I think this will be a good arrangement that will help us in that regard.
Okay. All right, can we get a motion in a second? Mike, is it a motion? Sir, or you want to talk?
Both.
All right, so
It's a motion.
let's do a motion, and I saw Derek's hand too. All right, so we got a motion and a second. All right, Mike, go ahead.
It's not listed in here, but I would hope that Elise's talents would be available to the Sustainability Committee. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. We got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Elise, you have a new title. Okay. We're going on to 10, new business. Items are for discussion, possible action. 10A is lease agreement between the Oregon Area Chamber of Commerce and the Village of Oregon for rental space at future Village Hall, 101 Alpine Parkway. And the agreement was in our packet. Martin, let me see, 10 years. No charge, but is it $20 or $30 to help with the remodel?
So, a couple meetings back, we talked a little bit about this because we approved the contract for this building, for their space here for this year. But since that time, we've gotten some cost estimates on the finishing of the new Village Hall. Obviously, prices are going up. We're starting to kind of tighten the screws on needs versus wants in that project. And one of the things that we got put on the chopping block very early on was finishing the chamber's space, or what was proposed to be the chamber space. Right now, it's completely unfinished. So after talking with Judy at the chamber and telling them about that, they have agreed that they would try to finish the space themselves. We were looking at a cost of around $60,000 plus to finish the space, just because of municipal overhead of bidding projects, having to take the lowest qualified bidder, doing specs, doing all that kind of stuff. They're indicating that they could finish it for upwards of around $30,000, plus they can get in-kind donations and that sort of thing. And so with that, I know the Chamber Board talked a little bit about it and offered, or asked, I should say, for a 10-year lease space agreement, given that they'll be finishing the space. The difference here too, with compared to here and there, is they don't pay utilities here, but they will be responsible for gas and electric at the new building. There's separate meters to that suite. They'll also continue to pay for their own phone, internet, and computer services. Either party can cancel the lease as it's drafted at any time with 6 months' notice. So if the village decided that it needed the space, or for some reason the arrangement became unwieldy, we could use that provision anytime during the 10-year period. So that's the
Okay.
gist of the agreement. If there's any questions, I can answer.
Let's see, Judy, all right, do you want to address the board on any of this? Okay. I did see it.
Just for the record, I'm Judy Knudsen. I'm the Executive Director of the Chamber, and this is Ida Duppick, who is our president this year. So we just wanted to give a head that we have some place to go. So after you close this building, I know Jeff does not want to heat this building for us, so, and he wants to do a lot of different things. So we are appreciative that you're considering for us to be able to move into the new site. We do have a lot of wonderful members that we work with, and we're hoping also maybe for the $10,000 bounce back Main Street grant. So if we get it, we get it, but otherwise, I'm pretty frugal with money, and I think we could probably find it. So we'll do what we can do.
Okay. Any questions or, yeah, Amanda, and then Jerry?
Oh, yeah, it's not questions for you so much
Or
as,
comment, yeah.
in the proposal, it said, I noticed that, Martin, you just said to us, there's a 6 months anytime to cancel the lease. It actually says 120 days throughout, which is only 4 months.
Right.
So I
it's 4
just want to
months, sorry,
clarify.
yes.
It's 4 months, okay.
Yes.
It does say 6 months
Sorry,
somewhere
yeah, I
in
looked
there.
at
So we should
120.
probably fix that, just to be
Okay.
clear.
Yeah, so it is 4 months. It's just listed as 120
Okay.
days.
All right.
Good
Jerry?
catch.
Yes, well, I assume there'll be a staff member overseeing the improvements that are going to be made. And
Yeah,
approving those.
I was gonna just make a comment on that. We're working with the chamber, so our request to the chamber was, I mean, we're thrilled. We would love to have them out there, and obviously that, and it's a neat space, and I think it's a very good use with the village. But, our point to them was, you know, if you do finish that space, it has to meet the specifications and the design and colors and carpet that we're putting in the rest of the building. So we're providing them with the exact make, model, colors, patterns, all that type of stuff. They're gonna use that and go to their suppliers for that information.
Okay, but I guess someone on the staff will be given the final approval.
Yes.
For the work starts.
Yes,
Yeah.
probably myself.
And we're also working with a person who drew it up for us, and that, I don't want to give out that name yet, but it's a very well-known builder here in town. So
That's
we're
fine.
working with one of our members, and
Yeah.
Jeff, he's already been
What-
working with Jeff.
What I've seen so
So-
far, it looks great. I mean, it's just finishing a box, basically.
You don't think I could do it, Ran-
I think you could do it just fine. but-
Come on, Jerry.
She went out and bought a measuring tape and a contractor's belt, and then she
Yeah.
said, I'll do it.
Yeah, yeah.
She'll be retired. She can do it all
Yeah.
the time.
I'll have lots of time,
Mhm.
so.
All right, anybody else? So we'll look for a motion in a second, the change that Amanda pointed out, we'll change it from 6 months to 4 months.
So, I was just looking
Yeah.
at it, so it says 6 months in my memo, which is wrong, but in the agreement, it's the renewal or extension of the agreement is a 6-month notice. It's the cancellation of the agreement is a 4-month notice.
Got
Oh,
it.
okay,
Okay, okay, thank you for clarifying.
so we'll leave it as is?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
All right, can we get a motion in a second, and we'll get this Amanda and Mike? Okay, any other discussion with these ladies up here? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. You're all set?
Thank you very much.
All right, 10B is future agenda items. Gives the board members opportunity to place items and new business on future agenda for discussion. Anybody have anything tonight?
Just one quick note.
Yeah, Martin.
With the election on April 5th, no village board meeting that week. It'll be the next week on April 11th. So that'll
Okay.
be the next meeting.
All right, April 11th, okay. All right, we're down to 11. Adjournment. Jerry and Amanda. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, that was a fast one. Yeah.